Welcome to the programme. The leaders of more than 50 countries have been attending a state banquet at Buckingham Palace at the end of the first official day of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in London. Prominent among the topics discussed were development issues, climate change and holding governments to account. On Friday, the Commonwealth leaders will discuss who will succeed the Queen as head of the Commonwealth. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell reports.
The diplomatic term for it is transition.
Now, the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is cutting short his visit to the Commonwealth Summit in Britain to deal with violent protests back home. Mr Ramaphosa has used the visit, which was his first since taking over from Jacob Zuma in February, to try to encourage more investment in South Africa. But the clashes have worsened over 2 days in the Northwest province. Protesters are demanding jobs and housing, as well as an end to corruption. Mr Ramaphosa has called for calm and ordered police to exercise restraint. Let's take a look at some of the other stories making the news. The disgraced cyclist Lance Armstrong is reported to have settled a federal fraud case over his use of performance-enhancing drugs at the Tour de France. He was due to face a trial next month over claims that he defrauded the US government when he doped while racing for his United States Postal Service-sponsored team. There'll be no criminal charges against anyone over the death of the musician Prince. The singer died 2 years ago from an opioid overdose at his Paisley Park complex near Minneapolis. The official cause of death was a self-administered overdose of the painkiller fentanyl, but no prescriptions were found. Work is underway in Salisbury to put up hoardings around the areas contaminated by the nerve agent attack last month on the former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia. Work to fully decontaminate several sites in and around the city is expected to start in the next few days, but they have warned that the process could take up to 8 weeks to complete. Now, Miguel Diaz-Canel has been sworn in as Cuba's president. It is the first time since 1959 that a Castro is not at the helm of the government. Today, the new leader vowed to defend the legacy of his predecessors and said that Raul Castro would be involved in major decisions. From Havana, Will Grant reports. The American government says it has information that Syrian and Russian forces are trying to sanitize the site of the suspected chemical weapons attack near Damascus. It's now almost 2 weeks since the reports of chlorine gas first emerged, but international inspectors have still not been able to visit the area. And as Bill Hayton reports, the regime appears increasingly confident of victory against rebels on the ground. And in other news, King Mswati of the Third Swaziland has announced the country's name is set to change to Eswatini. The announcement was made as the country celebrated 50 years of independence from British rule. The new name means Place of the Swazi. Swaziland kept its colonial name when it gained independence in 1968. The decision was made by King Mswati. He is one of the world's few absolute monarchs. King Mswati III says the decision in part is to avoid foreigners confusing it with Switzerland. Commemorations have taken place in Poland to mark the 75th anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Thousands of Jews were killed during the uprising against German occupation in 1943. The Polish president paid tribute to those who died, but again stressed that his country was in no way responsible for the Holocaust. The BBC's Tim Allman reports.
75 years on, and the fires still burn.
This is BBC News, the latest headlines. The Queen welcomes Commonwealth heads of government to Buckingham Palace as she looks to the future of the organisation after her reign. The former FBI director James Comey tells the BBC that he would think twice about sharing sensitive information with President Trump. Michael Cooney speaking to me earlier. Now, Earth Day will be marked on Sunday, and this year the annual event will be dedicated to cleaning up plastic pollution. It's an issue that's gripping countries around the world, and now there are growing efforts to do something about it. So just how bad is the problem? Our science editor David Shukman travelled to Indonesia to find out.
David Shukman, BBC News, Indonesia.
Now, the fashion industry is recognised as one of the biggest polluters in the world. Over the past 15 years, the rise of throwaway fast fashion has seen clothing production double. Among the designers looking at creating a more environmentally sustainable industry is Stella McCartney. She spoke to our arts editor, Will Gompertz.
And that wedding dress, are you designing it?
Oh, shut up.
And that's the way things look for the moment. We'll be back with you very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.